want you to be. Stop dancing with me. I don't want you to leave.
Hey guys, it's me, Andrea. I'm about to do my episode review for Ordinary People or something like that, or maybe I read that wrong. I don't know, it says it down there. First, I have to start off this video, obviously, a big shout out to Malese Joe and telling her, thank you so much, Malese. That video, vlog type shout out video thing meant the world to me. Christiane Michelle, thank you so much for getting that to me. That meant like the world to me. I'm so blessed to have good friends like you guys. Once again, thank you, Malese. And if you guys haven't seen the video yet, I will post the link below. The episode pretty much starts off with Elena, Rick, and Damon, and they're like in that Lockwood area property, I guess. And they're like looking through like the writings, drawing things that are all over the cave. You see the original names in Viking scripts. So it's Klaus's name and Rebecca's name and Elijah's name. Also, Michael's name is on there. We end up finding out that Michael is the father. You are not the father. No, you are the father. Well, you're not Klaus's father. We need Mari right now. Pretty much, he is the father, except he's not Klaus's father, but he's Elijah's father, and he's Rebecca's father. From what we know right now, right? Rick is like, well, we need somebody who's going to talk to us, and then he goes, oh, well, maybe Rebecca will talk to me if I ask her. So Elena goes to talk to Rebecca, and Rebecca's pretty much like, I have to get back to the girls. But you have to tell me what's going on. She's like, no, I'm just going to get back to my girls. So then Rebecca ends up telling, like, well, she doesn't tell Elena, but they do a flashback scene. While that's happening, they do a little flashback scene, and then it goes to Rebecca and then some little boy. I think that's their brother or not. And Klaus and Elijah are fighting, and the dad comes in. He's like starts beating on Klaus, and they're just like, oh, this is kind of serious. Like he's really mad. You notice how like Rebecca's like kind of upset about it. So then she like stops and she's still walking back towards the girl, and that's the end of the flashback. Can I say now that I just adore the flashback? I love the flashbacks. I don't know why. I'm a fan of the flashbacks. I'm always gonna be. I think they're like really amazing. Damon goes to see Stefan. And then Stefan's all like tied up and stuff, and he's like, screw this Lexi crap, and like unchains him, like takes off the other thing, and he's like, we're done with this. We're not doing this. We're not playing this Lexi game. Rebecca ends up texting Elena like, okay, let's talk. And then she ends up at the Salvatore house. Rebecca has like all these girls compelled, and then they're walking down like a little runway, and she's like, homecoming's coming. Homecoming is coming. Yeah. And she's like, I need a dress. Help me pick one. And then she's like, you called me for this. She's like, help me pick one. She ends up saying the red one because Rebecca was about to kill the poor girl. Rebecca's telling the story, and Henry was their youngest brother, and then that's how they ended up telling the story about how the werewolves ended up going against the humans, like how they couldn't be together anymore. And that's pretty much when like the rival first started, because they ended up killing Henry, but it's pretty much Klaus and Henry's fault because they both went out when they weren't supposed to go watch the werewolves turn. Pretty much no more peace with these wolves. No more peace. Rebecca seemed really sad because, okay, they're obviously talking about her brother and everything, and she doesn't want to be telling these stories, but she kind of has to because Elena's over here threatening her, saying, well, we're going to awake Michael if you don't end up talking. Stefan and Damon show up at this bar, and it's like, hey, we're here to drink. Damon goes, can I get a shot of your finest whiskey? And can my brother get a shot of you or something like that? And I was just like, that's really creative. I like that quote. It was funny. But it wasn't my favorite quote. My favorite quote is coming up at the end. Then Rebecca ends up telling more of the story, and she's like, about how the original witch turned their whole family, and the original witch being their mother. I was surprised that the original witch was their mother. The original witch is Esther, their mom, and I was really surprised about that because I thought it was the other lady. They end up doing like the ritual, turning them into vampires, and then the dad ends up killing them. The way Rebecca's like telling the story, she's like, my dad ended up killing a snake that like killed us both with his sword. I felt so bad for them because like she looks like she's really sad that their dad did that to them. They were forced to become vampires. Rebecca started saying how the tree that turned them into vampires ended up becoming like how the other witch said there was going to be consequences if they turned them into vampires. And they didn't listen to that, so then Rebecca goes, yeah, like, we couldn't control the blood, like, I just saw a human, and I went straight for him, and they showed that in the flashback, how she went, like, towards the human and ended up eating him. Damon goes to Stefan, easy, brother, she's giving us, employee discount, because I thought it was funny, because he's, like, eating the human, and then, like, another human sees it, and he's like, you saw nothing, give me your scarf, put it on her. That was my scarf, though. She's giving us an employee discount. I really like that. I thought that was hilarious, but it's not my favorite quote. My favorite quote is coming. I was like, it's about time. I know how to kill Klaus. Is that Michael behind me? In my head, I am like, why do all these people show up at bars? Is it just me? Like, Klaus showed up at a bar when he first showed his face. Mason, when he came back, was at a bar. Jules was at the bar. That one guy in season 1, Lexi's boyfriend, showed up at a bar. Is it just me, or does a lot of people, like, when you first see a lot of people, it's at a bar? I don't know why. I kind of noticed that right now. Rebecca starts telling more of the story to Elena, and she's like, oh yeah, Michael killed my mom. Rebecca says how Klaus watched everything happen, and Klaus came to tell him afterwards how Michael killed their mom, and then how Klaus goes, she broke my heart, I'm gonna break hers right back. And he like took it out, and then I was like, that's really weird. Elijah, Rebecca, and Klaus are burying, well, Rebecca's burying her mother, and then Klaus and Rebecca are there, and then it's like, we're all gonna stick together. And then that's when Elijah pops out, and he's like, all 3 of us will stick together forever. You see Rebecca really sad, and then she's like, just get out of here, Elena. Get out, get out, get out. So basically, like, kicks her out of the house. I was like, yo, Becca, that's Elena's house. Last I checked, it's under her name, isn't it? And then Michael's like trying to kill Damon, and I'm like, oh crap. It's like, stop and speak. Don't you see that he's about to become vampire dead? I love that, like, after Michael, like, takes his hand out of Damon's stomach, he's like, he grabs a napkin, he's like, well, now that we found a loophole. I love that. I don't know why. I know it's weird, and it's like, that's not funny, Andrea, but I liked it. And then it's Bonnie, Elena, and Alaric, and they're looking at all the pictures again, and they realize that what Klaus is lying. Typical, Klaus always ends up lying, right? So then they're looking at the little pictures, and it turns out that, like, we all know the real story of how Esther died. Who Esther is the mom, the original witch, who's also Klaus and Elijah and Henry's and Rebecca's mom. And I think there's some other kids that they never mentioned. But we know the real story, how she died. Typical. Of course we're going to come to Klaus. We go to Rebecca, and Elena's telling her, your brother killed your mother. Here are the pictures to prove it. So he could become a hybrid. Your mother had to die. There's no way that your dad tried to do this. This was your brother. This was Klaus's fault. Rebecca breaks down crying because she's always, like, because she said earlier that her brother is always going to mean everything to her, no matter how many times he screwed up, no matter how many times they've all screwed up. Her brother, she's always going to be there for her brother. She breaks down crying, and I'm so pissed because Elena just walks off. I'm like, I'm sorry, like, I know a whole bunch of people are not a fan of Rebecca, but I like Rebecca. Anna, don't kill me. I feel bad for her, and if I was Elena, I would have gave her a hug. I was like, Elena, how are you just going to walk out of there and not give her a hug? She's, like, crying. Damon and Stefan start arguing outside the bar, and then they're, like, killing each other because he's like, be careful, brother, humanity's showing. It's like, bam, bam, bam. They start fighting. Well, Damon ends up kicking his butt and then leaves him there. And, like, Vam speeds off to Elena's house. Elena's going to sleep, and she's like, I'm not going to yell at you, Damon. Everything's good. There's no way I can yell at you. And this is how the episode ends. Elena and Damon are in bed together, but Elena's sleeping and Damon's not asleep. But now, that's pretty much how it ends. And, like, they're going to end up seeing Michael's going to end up trying to kill Klaus. Klaus is going to come back to Mystic Falls. One more episode left till a break. Thank God, because I'm going to be out of the country. I got to talk about my favorite quote. I know I didn't mention this part because I'm going to end up talking about it. But my favorite quote was from Elena. And she says, he's going to come back. Like, basically talking about Stefan and how his humanity is going to end up coming back. And she says, it won't be because he loves me. It'll be because he loves you. Talking to Damon, saying how Stefan's going to end up coming back because he loves Damon, his brother. That made me, like, if you really think about it, the books, I didn't read them, but the show isn't just based off a love triangle. The story is based off 2 brothers. It's really sad. That quote, like, made me think, like, yes, that's right. He's going to come back because of his brother. So I don't know why that was my favorite quote. I really liked it. We'll see you guys next week, I think. Yeah. I'm going to try to make an episode review next week, but if I don't, it's probably because I'm packing. I leave the day after. So, thank you guys so much for watching my episode review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Comment, like, and subscribe. Comment, video response, I don't know. Make a recap, I don't know. Do whatever you want. Follow me on Twitter. And, should be down there. Facebook page should be down there too. There's going to be a lot of stuff down there. One more time. Thank you, Malese. I know you're probably not watching this, but obviously thank you. I will link you guys the Malese video too as well. Alright, bye guys.
Andrea, your recap?